took it, and then I was for twice.
Yeah, and you know, I wanted to do that, but unfortunately I had classes during the workshop. We have students that want to continue sustainable works, like help need it the next semester. You know, I don't know where we stand with this.
But it's a nonprofit organization external to the campus that can provide continuity over a period of time.
Yeah. It's a nonprofit based out of Santa Monica. The city of Santa Monica did not have office of the environment, and so the city of Santa Monica created Sustainable Works. I guess it was more than a decade ago. And actually, Santa Monica College, there was a field trip scheduled on Sunday that I helped facilitate with Madeline Brody, the sustainability coordinator from SMC. And they have a really huge, giant worm bin that's really cool that James and Linda went to see. I told them, go take a tour of the worm bin, and they came back to us, oh, that's so amazing. And I'm like, let's take the sustainability conference. And then only 2 people signed up. And there was some insurance issues, so we canceled it. But we were going to take a tour. They have a whole house dedicated to sustainable works, and they have 22 sections, all taught by students. And this has taken place over 10 years. So it's a pretty awesome program. If you guys want to learn more about it, I'll be happy to meet with you during lunchtime and explain it more.
So moving from talking about curriculum and student government, I'm particularly interested in how in community colleges we can be active in our student government and focus on sustainable change. And so I was wondering if we could just, you know, from the few that are here, what ideas are you bringing into your student government, and what actions do you plan on taking, and how do you plan on advertising or educating the whole campus in order for it to be moved?
Well, one thing that I know, because we had some of our peeps, Scott, on our board, we transitioned from paper agendas to we bring in laptops and put it up on the wall, and so we don't have to worry about wasting paper or making more copies, because sometimes we could have anywhere between like 3 people come in to maybe 10, 15 people come in, and everybody could see everything at the same time and not have to worry about making extra agendas. So that's one thing that we did do on our campus. There's a resolution that Scott passed in hopes that the state will go paperless. Those are things that influence that you can have as a student with on your campus as well. I mean, even in classes as well, if you could get students just to go online, and we have a system called Etudes, view your syllabi there, as well as your homework assignments, versus having the professors pass out paperwork. So.
I may have also an idea. One of the things that I'll definitely be voicing through the LA9 and through our Region 7 is, and of course, I'm a great supporter of his sustainability efforts, even up to the state level without a resolution, is to make sure that we reduce our carbon footprint, starting with, the obvious things that we have, which is a lot of paper. So one of the things, definitely, I think she touched on it, is I want to make sure that everyone across California in their student government have a representative, have a position, or create a position. If you're going to have a special election, do it through there. And I'm more than willing to work with every single campus to make sure that there is a representative, a senator for environmental affairs or for sustainability change, or whatever you may want to call it. So that definitely needs to be born within you guys, to have a representative, because definitely the minute he came on board, it was a big change onto how he made us also think, like, hey, that's not sustainable. Hey, there's a better way of doing this. How about if we use that? So definitely that's something that a sustainable coordinator, whatever you may want to call a position, that should be a permanent position on your AS board to make sure that those issues start beginning to be addressed successfully too.
I can attest to the SSCCC a bit. I was actually Region 3 Senator for part of last year. And I believe in the about 9 months that I was a senator, my pile of agenda was this thick. We'd have one weekend agenda that was like 150 pages. Not printed front to back. It was horrible. And it was always because of technical difficulties. And to me, that just became a moot point. I mean, in this day and age, when you have 30 people, students on a board, there's got to be someone who can understand how to create a 100-page PDF. I mean, it's not that difficult. But taking it beyond that, something that I think kind of falls to the wayside in the whole view of sustainability quite often is the social equity side of it. Yeah, reducing your carbon footprint and your paper use and all of that is really important. But what about, does your bookstore sell products that are made in sweatshops? Does your food service compost? Does your food service and your other outside entities on campus pay the student employees enough to be able to actually live? I know at my campus, I was a student employee for 4 years and I maxed out at $8.70 an hour. And you can only work up to a certain amount of hours per week, and that depends on the campus. Some campuses are able to pay more, some I've heard you can only work up to 5 hours a week, which is kind of ridiculous. So there's a lot of aspects that you can look at. Something that I believe I heard from this conference that was a great idea was going through, like I believe we use Office Max or Office Depot for all of our office supplies, and they don't necessarily always have the easiest site to navigate to try to find the most environmentally friendly products. So maybe something that we could create and hand out to all the departments on campus would be a quick guide. So, okay, this paper is has the highest recycled content. These inks are the least destructive to the planet. These pens are created out of recycled materials and things of that nature. And then also start working with, with your bookstore and your food service or whatever entities on campus to maybe create some kind of declaration saying we refuse to sell anything, made in a sweatshop, or we promise to go to 100% cotton or organic cotton apparel printed with soy inks and things of that nature. So it's far beyond more just going paperless. That's a great place to start if your campus doesn't really have anything. Another thing I've learned about community colleges, you kind of have to take it in steps. You have to get people used to one thing before you can you can't just throw it all at them at once. Because when you do that, they're just going to be like, oh, I can't, it's too much. So if you take it a little bit at a time, and eventually you'll get there. It might take a while, but eventually they'll get there. And something else you might want to consider is find out if your campus president has signed the Dolores Declaration. Which if you guys don't know what that is, you should look it up. It's Talloloires. It's named after a city in France. And it's basically a declaration of sustainability. That your campus will promise to go a certain percent, off the grid by a certain year or something of that nature. So those are all, you can make sure that you look at all the steps of sustainability and not just the environmental side of it, because it's a full circle.
I just wanted to say too, really quick, what Linda said is great, but the first step that we took, and thanks to our president, we started catching all the paper that we had printed on one side, and any paper that we could find all over campus, and we started talking to other offices and giving them like typing paper boxes that we all get the paper in, and asking them to save the one-sided. So we didn't start with putting it up on the screens first, because we realized that was, you're doing something new, and we don't have our agendas in front of us, and oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And people were freaking out. So we thought we would start with the printing anyway. So I just wanted to say, yeah, there are ways to break it down.
And we used it for decorations as well. Decorations, the rings.
Oh yeah, for Earth Day, instead of buying balloons, we use the backside of the colored flyers. If you guys don't know, colored paper is really, a lot of places won't recycle it, and you're kind of forced to throw it out. So we made those little garlands like you make when you're a kid, and you fasten them. And we got all these people on our campus that they don't want to do a project, they don't want to vision something, they don't want to do a community garden, but they want to make rings, or they want to do something simple, or we make these really cool cardboard signs as well, since she brought that up. Yes. We make our signs on cardboard now instead of using butcher paper, and we encourage students to take ownership and do it like artwork. And so we have students that anytime there's an event, they come in and they make a sign and they do like a little painting, and then they get to hang it up, and they have ownership of the advertisement.